Welcome to the Ministry of Communication. My name is Ato Sapon, Deputy Minister for Communication. Today, we are going to be hearing from one of progressive ministries under the presidency of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. The Ministry for Gender and Social Protection will be taking their turn at this morning's Meet the Press.
Deputy Minister, we are really very happy to be here, the team, to showcase what we have done over the past 4 years as the newest ministry of the government of Ghana. But we are going to do this along our 4 core functions. We are supposed to be formulating policies and creating the appropriate legal framework. We are supposed to be coordinating gender, children, and social protection activities at all levels of development for government. And then also ensuring compliance, then monitoring and evaluation of our programs. We started with restructuring because the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, created our ministry by executive instrument. It was an amalgam of several departments and the Ministry of Women and Children. So there was a need for us to gel, to glue together. We have completed a 5-year strategic plan which will be launched later this month. The support of the civil service has helped us to create an establishment. It's a term of art by civil servants, which we did not have. So that has also been done. We have developed a strategic document which led us to where we are now, an agenda for change, which more or less assessed where we were. We're very proud to say now we have a website that is running. You should check it out, www.mogsip.gov.gh. Our leadership at the ministry has undergone change management thanks to the support of UNICEF and the UN systems. We have an active social media presence on all the platforms. So you can see from the next slide. Over the course of the year, we have increased the number of Twitter followers from 652 to 3,223, thanks to Karimatu, Robert, and the team, and Steve, who is also here. Facebook, 1 year, we've increased from 2,031 followers to 7,606 followers. So all of you should like our page on Facebook. Now to business. Formulating policies and strengthening the legal and policy framework in Ghana. We have been able to get Parliament to adopt, and we have launched over 5 policies over the period. The Child and Family Welfare Policy, the National Gender Policy, the Social Protection Policy, the School Feeding Policy, and the Justice for Children policies have all been approved by Cabinet and have been duly launched. You'll see pictures. In terms of laws, the Affirmative Action Bill has been approved by Cabinet. It has been gazetted and is to be laid before Parliament. We finalized, together with the Ministry of Employment, the Domestic Workers Regulation, the Interstate Succession Bill, and the Property Rights of Spouses Bill was co-sponsored with the Ministry of Justice, is still before Parliament. We have the Human Trafficking Regulations that has been passed by Parliament. Domestic Violence Regulations has been passed. Children's Amendment Bill. I was in Parliament yesterday for the consideration stage. Our Deputy Minister, Honorable Dela Soa, MP for Kpando, is not here today because she is in Parliament to continue with the consideration stage. We are finalizing the foster care and adoption regulations so that we can lay it before Parliament also. In terms of bills, following adoption of the social protection policy, we are finalizing the social protection bill to submit to Cabinet for approval. Cabinet has approved of the aged persons bill, and the school feeding bill is also being finalized. The next slide, you see pictures of the launch of the Justice for Children policy and the launch of the social protection policy, the national gender policy, and the launch of the school feeding policy. The last slide is the Vice President, His Excellency Kwesi Amissah-Arthur, launching the Child and Family Welfare Policy. We have launched these policies. What next? For some of them, we have adopted an implementation plan. I can speak to the children's policy, and also is being piloted, implementation is being piloted in 20 districts. We have disseminated also the gender policy to MDAs and MMDAs, and we have distributed over 1,000 copies of the national gender policy. We introduced a new phenomenon over this period, that is the National Gender Dialogues, where we created a national platform to discuss emerging gender issues. Some of them included assessing 40 years of the creation of a Ghana Women's Machinery, what our achievements are, our challenges, and the way forward. We continued with assessing the Affirmative Action Bill and affirmative action in general in Ghana, and assessing 30 years of implementation of the Interstate Succession Law, PNDC Law 111. We discussed emerging child protection issues and the issue of the assisted birth technology, where couples who don't have babies are now being assisted by the use of technology. In terms of sexual and gender-based violence, we organized community engagements, and we had over 4,000 participants throughout 17 communities engaged between 2015 and 2016. In terms of reproductive health and rights, as you saw in the video or our documentary, we have been able to successfully repair 125 fistula for 150 patients from Brong Ahafo, Upper West, Upper East, Volta, Central, and Greater Accra regions. In addition to that, we mobilized over 600 women and community leaders and trained them on female genital mutilation, which is still going on in some of our communities. We have pursued economic empowerment under our Department of Gender. In that regard, we have a national gender advisor who is helping, and with support from the National Youth Employment Agency, we have introduced livelihood pre-employment skills training for out-of-school youth, or youth that we call Kayaye, or the track pushers. So currently, 400 track pushers and Kayaye are undergoing training in YWCA and Assemblies of God's aggregates. We have 20 persons with disabilities who have been mainstreamed and are also receiving training. We have also done training on the affirmative action and women in election. And we held the first ever National Women's Conference for market women, where we had over 2,000 market women from all over Ghana last week. Our guest speaker was the First Lady, Her Excellency Lordina Mahama. In addition to this, we have held training for market women in 3 regions: Greater Accra, Ashanti region, and Brong Ahafo region, where we taught them some financial literacy skills and also sanitation and health, among others. On the next slide, you see pictures of our national conference for market women. There was also screening funded by the Lordina Foundation for the over 2,000 market women who came for the meeting. We have commemorated International Days for Women from 2013. You have seen some of the pictures. Very importantly, we have, with support from ECOWAS, given scholarships to 34 brilliant but needy girls from the 10 regions. They are undertaking courses in accounting, electrical engineering, and related technical and science courses at the tertiary level. The next slide you see is a picture of one of the girls from Ashanti region and our Ashanti Regional Director for Gender, who has benefited from that program. We have done a lot of capacity building and strengthening. First, we know it's election year, so we focused on women in peace building, and we implemented the UN Security Council Resolution 1325, where we had 600 participants in Tamale, Bolgatanga, Kumasi, and Takoradi being sensitized. We got support from the Institute of Local Government, and the ministry trained 243 women and officers on gender mainstreaming. We have created child-friendly versions of our child and family welfare policy. This is to enable children to also understand the policy, because according to Article 11 or Section 11 of our Children's Act, children are also supposed to take part in decision making. So we have a child-friendly version also of the Justice for Children policy. We have developed a child database, so we have information from all sectors on children. So we can tell you children in health, children in education. We have that under our Department of Children. In terms of alternate childcare under our Department for Social Development, we have provided care for 1,158 children in Osu, Kumasi, Tamale, Mampong, and Jirapa orphanages. We have cancelled 1,512 caregivers. We have closed down 109 orphanages that did not meet our required standards, operational standards. We have actually prosecuted one owner of an orphanage in the Eastern region for operating after it has closed down. And we're using this platform to caution all the 109 closed orphanages that if you operate after we've closed you down, we will prosecute. We are monitoring also 148 daycare centers. In terms of early childhood care and development, we have a national executive committee in place. We are developing early learning standards for children 0 to 3 years. This is being done by our Department for Social Development, and we are currently reviewing the early childhood care and development policy. Recreational centers, this has been a challenge. You see our park in Dansoman, you see our park in Tema, in Kumasi, in Tamale, in Central Region, and the IFA Sutherland Park. Thankfully, we are partnering with the Ministry of Tourism to redevelop the IFA Sutherland Park. We're going through the procurement processes, and very soon we will rival the Rattray Park in Ashanti Region in Kumasi. Child trafficking has been a challenge for us, and as you are no doubt aware, our ranking has gone down with the US ranking, and so we are focusing together with the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Justice and Employment on addressing this issue. In the interim, we have a shelter for abused and trafficked and missing children under the Department for Social Development. As of 1st September 2016, 84 cases had been successfully dealt with. We received 93 cases in 2016. We also rescued 21 children from South Africa who had been taken there allegedly for being contracted for football. We were able to bring them back, and they have been given back to their families. We rounded up some street children in Accra, around the Accra Mall and Opebia House. This was done by our Department for Social Development. We see there are more children coming on. We will be doing this exercise once again. We have been able to reintegrate some of them, and some have been taken to some shelters. For the International Days, we also commemorated the International Day of the African Child and also celebrated the 2015 President's End of the Year Party in Mori this year on the 22nd of January. We have done it in past years in Accra, also in Techiman, and it's been a very wonderful experience for the thousands of children. So you see pictures of the party and also pictures of the First Lady of Ghana and the First Lady of Turkey, when the First Lady of Turkey and her husband paid a state visit to Ghana, and they visited children in the Osu Children's Home. Department for Social Development are in the process of changing their name from social welfare to social development to reflect their function and to reflect their mandate. They are also going through institutional strengthening, and we are really very grateful to the U.S. government for signing a partnership agreement through USAID to strengthen professionalization of the social welfare workforce in Ghana. So you see pictures of yours truly and the U.S. ambassador signing some documents. Like we said, we have adopted the National Social Protection Policy. It's been launched, it's been approved by Cabinet, and we're working on implementation. We had a program in Temanu Town, Go Back to School, also being run by Social Development, and 147 street children were identified, and also some have gone to school and some have gone back to their homes. We have done a lot of work for adoption and foster care. And like I said, our Deputy Minister, Honorable Dela, is missing this program because she has to be in Parliament for consideration stage of the Children Amendment Bill. We have been able to ratify the UN Convention on Protection of Children and Cooperation in respect of inter-country adoption. The Children's Act is being amended to ensure we regulate adoption. We've created a central adoption authority, and we have done a lot of sensitization workshops with various stakeholders, including civil society and the diplomatic corps, to create awareness and train them on the new regulations for adoption of children and foster care in Ghana. We have a School of Social Work. With support from the GET Fund, we have been able to cut the sword. We are constructing an 18-classroom block, a library, and an ICT center at our Medina Social Welfare Compound. They have also undergone graduation, and we have an institution certificate from the National Accreditation Board. So it's now a tertiary institution. They have developed a 5-year strategic plan to guide their operation, and we will be inaugurating their governing board a bit late in the day, but we are going to do it. Social development has been one of our strengths, and what we have done over the 3 to 4 years is to coordinate social protection programs in Ghana in a more efficient value for money way. So we have established a governance structure to consolidate all the 43 social protection programs and policies being run by various ministries. These include LEAP, LESTEP, school feeding, Better Ghana ICT project, free school uniforms, capitation grants, and the National Health Insurance, that is the exempt, those who are exempt. We've established and are operationalizing the Social Protection Intersectorial Technical Committee. We have drafted a social protection bill. Mr. Austin is standing at the back. He is in charge of the Ghana National Household Registry. They have done very well. They are actually in the Upper West region, and he told me this morning that by January, we'll have a clean database for Upper West region. We move on to LEAP under social protection, livelihood empowerment against poverty. In January 2013, when His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama became president, we were operating LEAP in 100 districts, and we had 71,936 households benefiting from LEAP. As I stand here now, we have 213,843 households in all the 216 districts benefiting from LEAP. This is a 196% increase. Clap for President John Dramani Mahama, please. Last week, we made our 44th payment, and we made this in the 216 districts in 6,236 communities across Ghana. This translates into 855,372 individual beneficiaries of LEAP. LEAP is working, and very soon it will hit your screens. We will interview beneficiaries, and we will show you the positive impact that LEAP is making on the lives of extremely poor persons in Ghana. The next slide, you will see the increase, graph no lie. So you can see from 2008 how we have climbed from 1,640 households to 213,000 and over households. That is the graph you see on your slide. The next are infographics. The next slide are infographics on the impact assessment of LEAP. So first, it has contributed, given LEAP, given the cash transfer to the extremely poor households, has had the impact of reducing school absenteeism, and it has had an impact of motivating children to go to school. There has been an impact assessment by University of North Carolina, ISA at the University of Ghana, and the government of Ghana. So this is evidence-based. It's also had an impact of getting adults enrolled in literacy programs. 13% of the adults have enrolled onto adult literacy programs. Children are motivated to attend school, and it has had a positive impact of increasing school enrollment by 12%. LEAP has had that positive impact. So you see pictures on the next slide of beneficiaries being paid their LEAP, and our Deputy Minister on the monitoring. We have paid off all arrears. There are no arrears. We have had consistent payment from 2014. We have increased LEAP by 22% from an average of 36 Ghana cedis to 44 Ghana cedis. We have gone electronic. So we are not doing manual payments. We are doing electronic, and all LEAP beneficiaries have their e-switch cards and can walk into a bank to get their monies paid. Still under social protection, we disbursed 3.9 million emergency LEAP to 10,274 households who were affected by the rain last year. We have identified extremely vulnerable groups like women accused of witchcraft in Gambaga, Kukuo, Nabuli, Patinga, Ingani, in Yendi. They are beneficiaries of LEAP, 751 women. We also have inmates in our leprosariums and also our orphanages who are currently beneficiaries of LEAP, 405 of them. 382 inmates of residential homes and orphanages in Osu, Kumasi, Tamale, Jirapa, Mampong, and the destitute home in Bekwai are beneficiaries of LEAP. 17% of LEAP beneficiaries are persons with disability. That is over 52,000 persons with disabilities. We have implemented and have identified vulnerable populations who have suffered from fire, from floods, and other acts of God. Direct Aid Africa helped us to support 1,000 victims. Emergency grant leave support was extended to 625 persons in Sawam Edwejuri after the dynamite explosion. They have received their leave, their emergency leave. We are 2,881 June 3rd flood beneficiaries who we migrated or issued national health insurance cards free of charge. Impact of LEAP. You see the pictures. The first top on the left is a man in Bosumtwi, the Lake Bosumtwi. With the LEAP money, he was able to buy new nets. You can see the blue new nets, and he's able to increase his catch. The woman on the right is in the north. She has bought some goats or sheep, and she's rearing them and getting extra income. The woman down has some guinea fowls. And the last but not the least, she has decided to use some of her money for both roads. And she is using that and supplementing her income. School feeding. The President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, gave us supervision of school feeding on the 4th of August 2015. We are continuing to serve 1.7 million children one hot, nutritious, well-balanced meal every day. Since we took over, we have been able to save Government of Ghana 24 million cedis every term from the reforms that have been implemented. We have built the capacity of 731 officers at the national, regional, and district level on food hygiene, health, and nutrition. We've paid most of the outstanding debts. Actually, for 2014-2015, we have paid all the outstanding debts for school feeding, amounting to 188,307,260.00. We have paid all our 2014-2015 debts. We are carrying on to ensure all the 1.7 million school feeding beneficiary children receive free access to quality health care under the National Health Insurance. So we have issued so far 340,000 National Health Insurance cards to the children, beneficiary children, so that they can access health care and go to hospital. We are, with support from UNICEF and the World Food Programme and World Bank, implementing an independent operational assessment, which was conducted last year, to help us identify the gaps and challenges with operationalizing school feeding. It is currently being implemented. 10,913 farmers have been linked to the school feeding program. We are paying caterers electronically. So the 5,370 caterers receive their payments through electronic means. This has saved us a lot. We have also created an electronic database of the schools and of the caterers by district, by school, and by enrollment figures. So now we have more accurate enrollment figures. So far, we have registered 21,600 women and men who are above 65 years, in fact, in all the regions of Ghana. we have registered 11,249 inmates of prisons. This is the very first time in the history of Ghana that prisoners, convicts, and remand are receiving national health insurance cards so that they can also access health care. We have done that for 11,249 prisoners throughout Ghana. Bolgatanga, Koforidia, Nsawam, Akuse, Tamale, Ankafo, Wa, have all, Ankafo and Second D, all the prisoners now have national health insurance cards. Not only that, infirmaries in all these prisons are being upgraded so that we can get better health care facilities for our prisoners. It has been done at Nsawam prisons, and it will be done in all the other prisons. 3,800 persons with disabilities have also been registered free of charge. We have the 340,000 school children registered and 82,154 LEAP beneficiaries also who have been registered. We have done a lot for the aged. Cabinet has approved the Aged Persons Bill. This is the first time we are going to have a law for the aged in Ghana. Under this government, we have set up and inaugurated the Aged Advisory Council, and we're really very grateful to them for the role they played in finalizing the Aged Persons Bill. This government has introduced the Urban Elderly Welfare Card. This is also the first time Mr. Mauto, Director of PPME, has explained 50% rebate on Metro Mass, negotiating 50% rebate for GPRTU and also for state transport. So far, we've issued 25,000 of these cards across to elderly persons in all the regions of Ghana. This year was 10 years since we passed, as a country, the Persons with Disability Act. The moratorium that was placed in the 2006 Act has lapsed. So now all buildings in Ghana have to be disability friendly. To aid the process, the government of Ghana, under the Ghana National Council on Persons with Disability, has collaborated with the Ghana Standards Authority to develop designs for public buildings to be disability friendly. These designs will be gazetted shortly and will be launched at the end of November. The President announced an increase in the Disability Common Fund from 2% to 3%. This was done in his State of the Nation address. We are working with the Ministry of Local Government to create more stringent monitoring mechanisms to ensure that the district assemblies use these monies for the intended purposes, to wit, for persons with disabilities. To this end, we are creating 30 disability desks in 3 regions where we'll have officers manning under our district social welfare officers to ensure that better attention is paid to disability issues right at the district level. Currently, we have 3,800 who have been registered free of charge on national health insurance. Under the National Youth Employment Agency, over 4,000 persons with disability have been employed. We have launched a national campaign to create more awareness of public buildings being more disability friendly. And we have enrolled 20 persons with disability on the pre-employment training program jointly being implemented with the Youth Employment Agency. The next slide, you see a picture. We celebrated World Cerebral Palsy Day with parents and mothers who have children who have cerebral palsy, and that is a picture that you see. The next slide are more pictures of engagements with persons with disabilities. We have printed 4,000 copies of the Human Trafficking Act and are distributing this and disseminating. We have increased our quest to combat child trafficking, and the President of Ghana witnessed the signing of a Child Protection Compact Partnership worth $5 million with the U.S. government. Not all of that money is coming to the government of Ghana. Several NGOs and other organizations have also benefited and are working in partnership with government to address child trafficking. The next slide. On domestic violence, we launched a research report, a very comprehensive research report on domestic violence in Ghana on the 17th of August 2016. So you see yours truly and the High Commissioner, the British High Commissioner, a very popular figure, launching. This report made very critical findings on domestic violence, and we're looking at implementing the recommendations of the report. We are very grateful to the United Kingdom government for funding this research report. We are focused on young, vulnerable populations because this was a gap that we identified in our earlier social protection research. So we have done workshops on teenage pregnancy for Kayaye across in Ashanti, Brong Ahafo, Western, Greater Accra regions for 1,200 participants. We are partnering with the Ministry of Health to develop a 10-year strategic plan to address teenage pregnancy in Ghana. We acknowledge the fact that teenage pregnancy is a reproductive health challenge. We're having several of our children, our young girls, getting pregnant, and there's a need to adopt a more scientific and pragmatic way of addressing it. That is why we are partnering with the Ministry of Health to develop a 10-year or 5-year strategic plan. We have launched our child marriage campaign. It's going very well. You have seen Edem and Mercy and some of our celebrities, or Heneye Gifty, who have championed this and are advocates asking and campaigning for us to end child marriage. You'll see a lot more documentaries in the coming weeks. One of our 4 functions is to adhere to our international commitments. We have done very well in that regard. We have cleared all reports. Last week, the Deputy Minister, Honorable Delasoa, the Chief Director, Auntie Helena, Director of the Department of Children, were in the Gambia to defend our reports to the Africa Union. We've also defended our CEDAW reports. We have acceded to the Hague Convention. For the first time, we attended and participated in the UN Open-Ended Working Group on Aging. Because of the increase in population of aging people above 60, the government of Ghana is systematically looking at implementing and creating institutional structures for the aged. So we participated in the UN Open-Ended group, and we also submitted our consolidated report on the extent to which we have implemented and protected rights of children to the UN Committee on the Convention of the Rights of the Child in Geneva last year. Like I said, we've cleared all our outstanding reports, and also for persons with disability, I'm glad to announce that Cabinet has approved of the Marrakesh Treaty, and it's going to be laid very shortly in Parliament. It's undergoing Gazette notification. We have outlined our programs for next year. We're going to continue a lot of what we're doing for children's rights, for gender, for social development. We're going to ensure that the Social Protection Bill is laid in Parliament. We'll strengthen the institutional arrangements. LEAP will extend to 350,000 households by December 2017, so that we cover all the 2.2 million extremely poor persons in Ghana. We will continue with Upper East and Northern regions for the household registry and ensure a legislative instrument is adopted for the aged. School feeding will increase to 3 million. We'll develop more efficient systems. We'll implement the school feeding policy, and will implement a new caterer contracting and procurement guideline. We will implement the Ghana Standards, the Accessibility Design, amend the Disability Act, and expand the District Disability Desk to the 7 remaining regions. We have done all this. We seek your support. Thank you very much.
My name is Patience Beze. I work with the Ghana News Agency. My question is on the Ghana school feeding program. The minister said they've cleared the outstanding debts from 2014 to 2015. So I want to find out what about this year, from January to date, if there's any outstanding.
Christiana Ifanyako is my name, TV Africa. I want to ask the minister, what specific monitoring mechanisms have been put in place to ensure that the children rescued from the streets do not return to their former state, especially those that were put in schools and returned to their homes? Thank you.
Rescued on the streets. We have district social welfare officers. And what happened was that we got social inquiry reports prepared for each and every child, so that we were able to know the context and some of the challenges and vulnerabilities that they faced that got them onto the street in the first place. So the district social welfare officers are actually tasked with paying periodic visits to the homes of the children who have been reintegrated and sent back to their families. In fact, just yesterday, 2 reports actually hit my desk. So they do that on monthly basis. And this is submitted to the regional director and then to the national director, and some of them submitted to me for my consideration. So that is how we are monitoring this process. For those who were resettled and taken to orphanages, this is also done in the same way. In terms of the school feeding, I'll ask Mr. Pate Champong, coordinator on school feeding, to tell us exactly what the financial status is as far as payment of school feeding caterers is concerned. So, Pat.
Since the ministry took over the school feeding program, at that time, school feeding was owing caterers 9 months, which was part of the 2014-2015 academic year and 2015-2016 academic year. We have cleared 183 million, as she said earlier on in her speech, and that covered all of the 2014-2015 and then part of 2015-2016. As we speak, we are owing caterers for the 3rd term of the 2015-2016 academic year. In other words, we are owing them for the past school term, and we believe that in the next few weeks we will pay that one as well, and we will be very, very, very current. So that will be the first time in the history of school feeding that in a term school feeding has not owed caterers beyond 6 months.
Dr. Edward Omanubuama, I want to say a thank you to the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Chief Director and the team for coming. And on behalf of the Minister and the whole Ministry of Communication and Gender, I want to say thank you to you also for coming. We appreciate your time here. Thank you very much for the coverage. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sorry, I have to. Yes, I'm going to